I want to welcome you to the 2023 Sport Accord World Combat Games, and there we take our first look at the tatami. Surely it will be the Japanese art of Aikido on display as we wait for the competitors. It's been a great event thus far, the Sport Accord World Combat Games, showcasing martial arts from around the globe. There you see a glimpse of kanji. Japanese art of Aikido. If you're unfamiliar with the art of Aikido, it is a non-competition based martial art. It traces its roots back to Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. Today the competitors will showcase some techniques and tactics. Display of martial arts abilities with the World Combat Games. Something for everybody. Sambo, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Sabat, Judo, wrestling, karate. Today, Aikido on display. We eagerly anticipate the Akidoka to take to the tatami. I am your host, John Ramdeen, here at the 2023 Sport Accord World Combat Games, host city Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, a beautiful part of the world. You see some of the behind-the-scenes sites from the World Combat Games, showcasing martial arts excellence. Some spectators ready to take in a day of martial arts.
السيدات والسادة، مرحبا بكم في اليوم الثاني من رياضة
It's a
الآيكيدو
good thing they're
في
getting here
دورة
early
الألعاب القتالية العالمية
to see the
الرياض
beautiful display of
2023.
Aikido.
يستضيف هذا الحدث أكثر من 100 رياضي من أكثر من 45 دولة على مدار يومين. نحن على ثقة بأنك ستستمتع بوقتك هنا، ونشكرك على مشاركتك ودعمك لدورة الألعاب القتالية العالمية في الرياض 2023.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 2 of the Aikido at Riyadh 2023 World Combat Games. This event hosts 16 martial arts and combat sports featuring over 1,700 from over 100 countries. We have athletes representing from 49 countries here for Aikido today.
All the Aikido practitioners filling up tatamis. There is no competition in Aikido. Aikido meaning the way of harmonious spirit. I mentioned, can trace its roots back to Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. It was formed by Sensei Morihei Ueshiba. Aikido means harmony, unity, spirit or energy, and path or way. Aikido. And if you talk to practitioners of Aikido, many of them will tell you it is a personal journey, a journey to become the best version of yourself as possible. It's all about self-betterment and harmonious play. Here, ceremonies, paying tribute to the art. As I did mention, there is no competition, so we will get a demonstration of the art of Aikido. There are thousands of techniques in the art, so it really takes a lifetime to master. Each journey in Aikido different than the next or previous. Aikido promotes individuality. Aikikai, you see, that's one of the branches of Aikido.
Please welcome Team Saudi Arabia.
والآن مع عرض الفريق السعودي ورجاء ترحيب بالفريق السعودي المشارك.
Has been split into many different styles throughout the years. As we see the team from Saudi Arabia step onto the tatame. Here will be a first in a series of techniques displayed by the team from Saudi Arabia.
Arabia team will conduct a demo showing different techniques and attacks.
يشمل عرض في الفريق السعودي المشارك تقنيات مختلفة وطرق الهجومية في رياضة الآيكيدو.
And there are two different senses when it comes to Aikido. The first being Tachiwaza, where The combatants are in the standing position,
تم تأسيس
and then
الفريق السعودي لرياضة
Suwariwaza,
الأيكيدو في
which
عام
is ground defense on the floor.
1996.
A relatively young country for Aikido,
And for those unfamiliar
but
with
currently
Aikido,
already boasts
your
over
training partner,
500
an
athletes
instrumental part
in
of your
15 different
success and
dojos
growth
or
as an
schools.
Aikidoka.
وتعتبر السعودية من أوائل
Both partners have
الدول المشاركة في
an
رياضة
important role.
الأيكيدو ومن عام 1996 ويشمل هذا حوالي أكثر من
As you see
15
some of the
مدرسة
joint
تعليمية
manipulation,
لرياضة الأيكيدو.
blocking, redirecting. And everyone has their path. You can see different levels of efficiency. Tumbling, obviously, key. Many people feel it's the fountain of youth to constantly be on the tatame, learning how to roll. And one of the fundamental principles of Aikido is learning how to break fall hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of times. It has been said if you are late to your training for Aikido, you will endure 100 break falls as punishment. And depending on the severity of your tardiness, you could be in for a world of hurt, hundreds of break falls. Aikido, all about energy transference, turning, redirection. These are all the techniques that will be perfected over years and years. And it's these slow, deliberate movements over time that allow the Aikidoka to master the nuances and the minute details that lead to the technique and tactic to be perfect. Aikido makes use of body movement, blending the movements of both the Tori and Uke, the two partners. Aikido is not about winning or losing. It's about progression, understanding of body mechanics. One philosophy of Aikido suggests a deepening one's understanding of techniques, shows you a path in life. The essence of Aikido is to suppress, but also to protect. Each technique is a way to communicate. And here you see the importance of having a partner that can comply with your intent, techniques. Partner is key. Focus on your own movements through the lens of your partner. And rolling around on the tatame is the way to be supple and mobile. So you have to practice ukemi, tumbling and rolling to avoid injuries. It's all about the path of least resistance. You see some of these techniques. The uke, forced to roll and spin out of some of these techniques, because if they didn't, quite frankly, their joints run the risk of being injured from some low wrist locks or shoulder or elbow locks. The goal of Aikido is to overcome oneself, philosophy of true victory, final victory over oneself here and now. Saudi Arabia demonstration team of Aikido. And you see that overhand knife attack, the first fundamental. Ikkyo, control opponent's elbow and arm. Step and pin the entire body. The Yuge is the attacker or the receiver, partner in training. The Tori, the grabber or thrower, both parts very vital for the success of Aikido.
تطورت لتصل إلى مرحلة الأعنف لتصبح فن قتالي غير تنافسي بهدف تحسين
It's all
وتهذيب
about
النفس
balance,
والذات.
understanding of body
Aikido is a modern Japanese
mechanics.
judo with martial art deep roots in the tradition of Japanese fighting, either empty-handed or with weapons. It evolved in non-violence, becoming a
And
non-competitive
everybody's path
martial
is
art
different
with the
when it
objective
comes to
of
training in the art of
self-improvement.
Aikido. It can take somebody 10 years to master the techniques. It can take others 20 years to master. And there you see 3 of the ladies. It's one of our favorite things about the art of Aikido. Open for anybody to practice the art form.
Thank you, Saudi Arabian team.
يشكر الفريق السعودي على
Team Saudi Arabia now leaving the tatame after a successful demonstration. There are more than 300,000 competitors, Aikidokas, around the world.
Now,
I
we
want to call
would
them
like
competitors
to
because there is no
have
competition.
a presentation by the Japanese team,
Practitioners
also
of the art
conducting
form.
different techniques and attacks.
Next, Team Japan.
والآن مع العرض للفريق الياباني. رجاء الترحيب
And of
بالفريق
course, the
الياباني.
art of Aikido. Trade roots to the land of the rising sun. A smaller demonstration team. And you're just seeing the difference between the techniques of Team Saudi Arabia and Japan. These Aikidoka more proficient, more fluid. Appears like they've spent more time honing the craft, learning the details of the technique. The goal is to ensure that your training partner is not injured through these techniques. Many of these techniques that you are witnessing are they're techniques designed at bigger picture in mind. A lot of them are not taken literal. A lot of the times, some of these techniques, you're mimicking swords or knives. In order to become proficient in Aikido, one must participate in Ukemi, rolling. There are five main principles in Aikido. Ikimi, which is the entering of the tactic or technique. You're not supposed to run away. You're supposed to move into the technique. Second, Atemi, dealing with the strikes. Kokyuho, breathing techniques. Senkakuho, triangle. Then there's also Tenkan, turning or circular movement, mobility.
In order to improve. There is no winning, there's no losing, and the mantra
There are no kicks
of
in Aikido.
the Japanese
It's
word
considered a
Aikido
non-combat art.
refers to true victory is self-victory.
The application of Aikido is for self-defense. Requires many years of practice. Aikido teaches how to dodge negative
رياضة
situations.
الأيكيدو هي لا تعتمد على المنافسة
And I'm
والفكرة
sure
الفلسفية
there are
منها
countless
هي
stories of Aikido
تحمية
that
النفس في
have
كل
been able to
مواقف
use some of
الحياة.
these techniques and tactics
تمام.
and philosophy in their everyday life.
ورياضة الأيكيدو تعتمد
We
على
spoke to
الابتكار
one Aikidoka who said that he
والتفكير
was able to
المستمر للتحسين
avoid a
في
car accident,
الأداء
prevent a car
العام.
accident because of his abilities acquired in Aikido, his heightened awareness. And as I mentioned in the past,
المشهورة للمهاجم
two types of
الأداء
stances,
طبعا
Jiyuwaza standing,
هذه الكسور
Suwariwaza on the
والتعبير
ground.
عن هذه الضربات الهجومية.
Thank you very much, Japan team.
نشكر
Team
الفريق
Japan with a beautiful
الياباني
display of the
المشارك
art.
في هذا العرض.
From now, after the Japanese team, we would like to introduce you to Aikido fundamentals. Group 1 will begin with Katadori.
Now we'll get a glimpse of some fundamentals
Aihanmi attack, which is a
used in the art form.
Single hand grab attack.
I talked about earlier, thousands of techniques, but some are just variations, adjustments that are being made to an attack.
والآن مع الأيكيدو الأساسية ونبدأ مع وضع الأساليب المختلفة وهذا الأسلوب هو باستخدام يد
Blending, turning, all circular movement.
مثل ما نشاهد.
Beautiful form of play. The only way to, of course, get better at these art forms, to get better at the techniques, is through constant repetition, using your training partner to ensure that you have the best tactics and techniques available, possible. Iron sharpens iron, as they say.
Originates from the time of samurai when the opponent wished to stop the samurai drawing his sword. From there, this technique developed.
Again, I look at some of these tactics and their origins. A lot of the times, some of these attackers would have a knife or a sword in their hand.
يلجأ إلى استخدام السيف.
And many of the movements, for the demonstration purposes, are all exaggerated.
Thank you, Group 1.
نشكر الفريق الأول المشارك للأيكيدو الأساسية والآن مع الفريق الثاني.
The next group will focus on Shomenuchi attack. The Shomenuchi means a frontal attack and how to diffuse the force coming from the front.
سوف يركز الفريق الثاني على أحد الأساليب القتالية في رياضة الأيكيدو وهي أخذ القوة من المتنافس الأمامي وتحريك هذه القوة بحيث تجنبها وهذه القوة هي قادمة من الأمام.
Aikido assumes that he will receive different types of attacks. The one previous was when someone was trying to stop you from drawing the sword. This is when someone is trying to strike your face or the head.
في المرة الماضية شاهدنا أسلوب استخدام السيف وهي في حالة الهجوم المتنافس باستخدام السيف، ولكن في هذه المرة في حالة المنافس قام بالضرب على منطقة الوجه أو منطقة الكتفين فيتم التصدي له بهذه الطريقة.
And you see the playful nature of some of these competitors. Inclusive art form. Doesn't matter age, sex, gender. There's a path for everyone in the art of Aikido. Knowledge of awareness. If you ask the hundreds of thousands of competitors from around the world, they will undoubtedly tell you that the continuous play is just one of the most enjoyable aspects of Aikido. Just getting to showcase your art form to the world here at the Sport Accord World Combat Games. Just an incredible honor for these Aikidoka.
نشكر الفريق الثاني على هذه المشاركة.
Team leaving the tatame as we continue our coverage. Aikido fundamentals from Riyadh here in Saudi Arabia for the 2023 Sport Accord World Combat Games. I'm your host John Ramdeen.
والآن مع الفريق الثالث والمجموعة الثالثة لأساسيات رياضة الأيكيدو.
The art of Aikido hits center stage.
This is another way of being grabbed by the opponent. Instead of diagonal grab, it is the opposite.
Aikido promotes individuality.
To be stopped.
Each Aikidoka has their own path to mastery.
هذا الأسلوب يشرح في حال المنافس تم استخدام الشد أو الجر.
You're seeing some of the attacks here, and we'll see them, I think, a little bit later as well. A variety of different demonstrations. Ryotedori attacks, meaning gripping with two hands. Ushiro Ryotedori attacks, two hands from behind. Morotedori attacks, two hands on one. Tsuki attacks, learning how to deal with punches. Katadori attacks, shoulder seizing. Yokomenuchi attacks, like it's a sword blow, strike to the side of the head. Some suggest there's more than 3,500 techniques.
بالإضافة إلى مثل ما ذكرت سابقا
So the aspects of Aikido training, freestyle weapons and randori,
إعادة توجيه هذه الضربات أو هذه القوة القادمة من المنافس، ومحاولة أخذها بالشكل المطلوب، وانعكاسها بطريقة دفاعية جيدة.
All of these exercises are imperative for the success of Aikido. Turning exercises. You're seeing all of these fundamentals, part of the building blocks of proficiency.
Thank you very much.
As we talked about before, Aikido makes use of body movement, blending the movements of both the Toei and Uke, the sweeper and attacker.
The next group will conduct a demonstration from Ryotedori attack. Ryotedori means being grabbed both hands by the opponents, both hands.
And you see the Ryotedori attack will be demonstrated.
في أساسيات الأيكيدو، وفي هذه التقنية والأسلوب سيشرح في حال الشد أو
the gripping of two hands.
باليدين الاثنتين من قبل.
See that on display. Using both hands. All specific movements. Both partners instrumental in the execution of the technique. Morihei Ushiro considered Aikido the art of peace. He was a soldier, however. Battled the Russians. Wanted to enter into a state of peace after being at war. Created Aikido for betterment, helping people become the best version of themselves possible. Noble cause for Ushiro. I think he's done well, as we talked about. More than 300,000 competitors, practitioners, not competitors, practitioners in the art of Aikido globally. 140 countries embrace the grappling art. Aikidokas, intense. See the look on their face. All these movements deliberate.
Thank you very much, Group 4.
نشكر الفريق الرابع في أساسيات رياضة الأيكيدو.
We saw the Ryotedori attacks.
We will have Group 5.
This guy caught on camera.
Which is a unique.
Checking his phone.
way of attack based on the Japanese culture. Japanese homes required that the sleeping, eating, working was on the floor.
The demonstration continues. This one, the Suwariwaza, the ground defense.
Sitting techniques.
Hanmi, Handachi Waza, meaning we will have one seated and one standing opponent.
One person is standing, the other person is sitting.
And you're seeing different levels.
الفريق الرابع من أساسيات الأيكيدو يشرح أسلوب أو تقنية فريدة وهي أحد الأطراف في وضعية الجلوس والآخر واقف.
Very effective training method. You never know when you will have to go on the offensive or when you will have to defend yourself. Not unsure of which position. If you're standing or seating, you never know when attack is going to come your way. Always be prepared. A beautiful mobility displayed by these Aikidoka. And I can't stress how important tumbling is for youth, to stay youthful.
مؤسس الأيكيدو كانت هذه واحدة من التقنيات المفضلة لدي.
Aikido certainly can trace its roots back to Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, like many art forms. One big martial arts family, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, as I mentioned, also part of the building blocks of Judo, Sambo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and here on the tatamis, it's Aikido.
يعتبر من أهم الأساليب خصوصا لتشغيله المنطقة السفلية من الجسم.
And you're seeing the hand come down like a knife attack. The martial artists defending. Some of the spectators taking in
Thank you very much, Group 5.
the beautiful art form.
And now we will go to Ushiro Ryotedori attack, which is an attack from a grab from behind both hands.
أشكر الفريق المشارك والآن مع الفريق.
Next, demonstrating the Ushiro Ryotedori attack, which would be two hands from behind. Just constant repetition, constant mobility, learning how to tumble and roll. Break falls important. You see, this is why break falls are important. You want to ensure your own mobility, and when you're able to fall properly, just helps with the building blocks of your martial arts abilities. And for those unfamiliar with the art form, Both partners are instrumental in the path for success in Aikido. Both working together to ensure excellence, perfect technique, and it is only achieved through constant repetition.
And later we will enter into punch techniques.
Many of the strikes in Aikido resemble cuts or thrusts from sword or knife. Kicks are designed for more experienced practitioners. These types of attacks were uncommon in feudal Japan. That's what Ushiro, that's what he was. Passed away in 1969. Some of the basic strikes of head strike. Strike vertically to the head, face thrust or punch to the face, side of the head strike, diagonal knife hand to the head or neck. There's also a variety of grabs, a single hand grab, shoulder grab, chest grab, where you're attacking the lapel.
We will add another grab,
as we talked about before, a very welcoming art form. Anyone can participate.
This is a technique to
Morotedori attack.
An opponent. Both two arms against one arm.
We demonstrated next. Two hands on one.
في هذه المرة في حال ضربات باليدين، وهو أحد الطرفين سيستخدم اليدين، وواحد الأطراف سيستخدم يد واحدة فقط.
And many of these techniques and attacks might look similar, but it's all in the details and the nuances and the variations of hand placement. Your blending techniques, your turning techniques.
The human body is said to have 206 bones, about 350 joints, and about 700
We'll go with the technique,
muscles,
which we saw earlier.
Aikido tries
The control technique using one hand on the elbow and one hand near the wrist, which leverages the uke to the ground. The grip applies pressure to the ulnar nerve, the largest nerve unprotected by bone or muscle, so injury is common. And you would see the variations here. You're seeing that the throw. And it's all about the path of least resistance. So in your defense, if there's resistance, you just go to the technique with less resistance. If there's too much resistance with that technique, you move to the technique with even less resistance.
Not only the body, but also the mind.
فلسفة رياضة الأيكيدو وهي في حالة تدريب لساعات كثيرة، سوف يستثمر ليس في الجسم فقط، راح يستثمر في العقل أيضا والأسلوب في
It's a beautiful display.
Thank you very much, Group 2.
نشكر الفريق المشارك في هذه الأساليب من أساسيات الأكيد.
The next one will start focusing on some strikes. Yokomenuchi
This group of
is a
demonstrators,
strike between the neck
Yokomenuchi attacks.
and the temple line.
So, a sword blow or strike to the side of the head.
في هذه المرة سوف يشرح أسلوب الضربات الحرة وهي ضربات ما بين
This is where you have to use your imagination when it comes to deciphering the techniques.
طرق الدفاع فيهم.
And if a training partner has a sword in their hand, how you would be able to dispatch them.
As the athletes are moving, you cannot see whether they are where they are
Redirection,
targeting
circling,
but the target of the attack
and ensuring that your
as explained
training partner
between the neck and the temple line.
is not injured during these exchanges of ideas.
عدم رؤية منطقة الضربات وهي لسرعة الحركات ولكن مثل ما تم الشرح ضربات كلها
Because there is variety of options.
الرقبة وفوق الأذنين.
In the samurai days,
You can redirect a certain way depending on how your attacker responds.
you couldn't strike the body armor. One easy target was the neck temple area, which was not protected.
All just different variations off of one attack. The details and nuances.
لبس الساموراي الثقيل من اللبس المدرع بشكل جيد، مدرع في منطقة الرأس ووسط الجسم والجسم والكتفين، ولكن إلا منطقة الرقبة وهي كانت تعتبر المنطقة.
And you're watching the demonstration of the Yokomenuchi attack. Sword blow or strike to the side of the head. Attacking the wrist and elbow, pinning the opponent on the tatame to avoid further damage. A beautiful display.
Thank you very much. The next team will focus on a strike in the center of the body. It's called Chudan Tsuki.
نشكر الفريق المشارك والآن مع الفريق الآخر
Chudan Tsuki attacks
راح يشرح أسلوب أو
up
تقنية
next,
أخرى وهي في حال
which
الضربات
are
الحرة
punch
في
attacks.
وسط منطقة الجسم وكيفية الدفاع عنها.
The most useful of all defense techniques, most likely will be the first thing an attacker does. Even if they're untrained, people are willing to throw a punch. So it should be the martial arts' responsibility to deal with that primal attack. That's one way to do it. And if you dissect all the tactics going on, Yes, each Aikidoka dealing with the punch, but the way that they are responding, very, very different. Many of the options can be the same. It's the choices they make during the technique, how the opponent responds.
الأيكيدو فن قتالي فعال يستفيد من قوة الخصم ويسيطر عليه بأقل ضرر ممكن ويستخدم بالفعل من قبل رجال الأمن في اليابان والعديد من البلدان الأخرى ولا يوجد في هذه الرياضة تصنيفات للجنس أو الوزن خلال هذه الاستعراضات في المشاركة.
Aikido is an effective martial art blending with the force of the opponent without being destructive, and as such is used by law enforcement agencies in Japan and many other countries. The sport, or Budo, doesn't have a gender or weight classifications.
If you are intrigued by what you're witnessing here at the 2023 World Combat Games, I encourage you to seek out Aikido. It's all about self-betterment.
Thank you very much.
A positive and encouraging martial art.
نشكر الفريق المشارك.
The next team will focus on another strike technique. After grabbing the shoulder, striking the face, immobilizing first the opponent so that the opponent doesn't go away and try to attack.
The Dorie attack coming up next. The demonstration team. Shoulder attacks.
سيتم شرح من قبل
Shoulder seizing.
المشارك إحدى الضربات الحرة وهي في حال الشد من منطقة الكتفين.
As we talked about,
في منطقة الوجه.
Aikido very welcoming. Different body types. No age limit. Sex, gender, anyone can get themselves involved in Aikido. And you can see just how dynamic and explosive some of the movements can be. The more and more you train, the more proficient you'll get at said tactics. And all these Aikidoka working in harmony. There's no real resistance in the demonstration. That's not really the point. Fluidity, mobility, redirection, blending, turning, circling, and all principles of Aikido.
Thank you very much.
نشكر الفريق المشارك.
This concludes the portion of Aikido fundamentals explaining the different attacks. From now, we will move to advanced Aikido in a freestyle that includes a variety of attacks and techniques.
Getting some advanced Aikido.
وبهذا انتهينا من فقرة الآيكيدو الأساسية،
Using
والآن ننتقل
weapons.
مع الآيكيدو الاحترافية التي سيتم فيها شرح أساليب متعددة ومختلفة حرة باستخدام
It's one of
تقنيات
the
مختلفة
most
من خلال
interesting
هذا
elements
العقد
when you
القادم.
watch Aikido being practiced. There are 3 classical weapons in Aikido. There's 3 classical weapons, the Jo, the Bakken, and the Tanto. Although there's very little Tanto work, small arms.
Aikido doesn't have weight class as many other martial arts or competitive sports. Aikido doesn't have problem with gender, age. Many schools, dojos have young adults, senior people, men, women, and even children training together.
مثل ما ذكرنا سابقا أنه لا يوجد في هذه الرياضة تصنيفات للجنس أو الوزن، وهذا ينطبق أيضا في المدارس.
This demonstration seems to be a little more intense than the others, a little more deliberate.
تصنيفات في هذه المدارس أيضا.
It's more theatrical. As we talked about, some of these techniques are all about communication. And you're seeing the path of least resistance. The defender giving the attacker the options of preventing injury.
Aikido moves have a strong lineage from Japanese samurai techniques.
Attacking and defending with the Bakken.
As such, we have many techniques using actual weapons. And one of the original weapons would be a samurai sword.
Very beautiful movements.
رياضة الأيكيدو تشمل على تقنيات كثيرة ومتعددة باستخدام سلاح
Just
الساموراي،
such an incredible art form.
وكثير من هذه التقنيات تعتبر وسائل للقتال باستخدام الأدوات
Blending self-defense
وهي الارتباط
and art,
القوي بين رياضة الأيكيدو و
creativity.
العصر أو فلسفة الساموراي.
As I mentioned, some theatrics, almost dance-like. Very choreographed. So we talked about before, Aikido is not about winning or losing. Partner awareness is a building block when it comes to achieving success, mastery of Aikido. And one has to practice ukemi to avoid injuries in any situation. So constant tumbling, break falls. Serious plays of philosophy in Aikido. There are 3 goals when it comes to defending in Aikido. Separate the arm from the torso, take the back, control the head or hip for the takedown. The goal of Aikido is to overcome oneself. The philosophy of true victory, final victory over oneself here and now. Takedowns are achieved by moving your partner's head and torso away from their center of mass, and uses movement to achieve this. And move to the next goal if there's too much resistance. Some joint locks are entries and controls only. Rarely are they takedowns. You see these 2 martial artists working in harmony. Your partner is there to help you, but you are responsible for your own progress in the art of Aikido. Aikido is a modern martial art. Has been split into many different styles over the years. The first, as we saw it earlier, Akikai, the original school of Aikido. And there's also Awama-ryo, the style created by the founder of Aikido. Also, Shotokan Aikido, with the emphasis on free-form randori. Yoshinkan Aikido, developed after World War II, a hard style of Aikido.
Another advanced Aikido presentation.
And the demonstrations continue.
We call Jiyuwaza, which means
Advanced
reselection of
Aikido.
techniques.
الآن مع الفريق المشارك الثاني في الأيكيدو الاحترافية، وهو راح يمثل تقنيات مختلفة للأيكيدو الاحترافية.
It's one of the most misunderstood martial arts, the art of Aikido.
Using joint techniques sometimes, as was done now, or
You have to understand that these
hip throws,
two partners working together,
momentum throw, as we call kokyunage, based on
to work with your partner, and you can understand your techniques through the lens of your partner, you'll become more proficient. As we talked about, Aikido, the path of least resistance. In a situation like that, because if there was a lot of resistance, somebody's joint is being snapped.
فلسفات رياضة الأيكيدو وهي محاولة إخضاع الخصم أو الطرف الآخر من دون أو محاولة تجنب الأضرار المكتوبة ومحاولة جعل
The longer that you
الأضرار
practice the art,
بسيطة وأخذ القوى
the better your skills are going to be.
الطرف الآخر
You're more
واستخدامها
proficient, the
بشكل يجعله
techniques and tactics.
يخضع للطرف الأول.
When you see the size difference of these two, shows that people of different backgrounds, genders can work together to achieve the same goals. Technical mastery, body awareness. Very fluid. Some of the spectators taking in this wonderful martial art. The most practical, in my opinion, elements of Aikido demonstration, being attacked in a seated position on the ground, just getting a combination of everything, more deliberate attacks, obviously a more seasoned Aikidoka. Most likely a higher Dan. more than 300,000 Aikido practitioners around the globe. The art form created by Morihei Ueshiba, known as O-Sensei or the Great Teacher, passed away in 1969. The essence of Aikido is to suppress, but also to protect. Takedowns achieved by moving your partner's head and torso away from the center of mass. Use this movement to achieve this.
Thank you very much. With this, we finish the free technique groups of the advanced Aikido. And now we would like to present Para Aikido in the spirit of Paralympics. We have Timo Reilman.
وبهذا انتهينا من الايكيدو الاحترافيه ونشكر جميع المشاركين في هذه الفقره الماضيه والان مع الفقره القادمه وهي مشاركه الاحتياجات
about it before. It's one of the things that we love about Aikido. So we see Timo Reilman showcasing some para Aikido, a very inclusive art form. Aikido can trace its roots to Daitobu Aiki Jiu-Jitsu. Training is based primarily on two partners practicing prearranged forms known as katas rather than freestyle practice.
As Aikido's goal is
Morihei Ueshiba described Aikido as the art of peace.
A lot of time to help others to grow as well. In Aikido, in the spirit of Para Aikido, we have people that are blind, people in wheelchairs, and many others.
Aikido makes use of body movement, blending the movements of Tori and Uke.
بسبب إحدى فلسفات الأيكيدو الأساسية الموجودة في هذه الرياضة وهي محاولة تحسين أداء جميع المشاركين
Redirection
وليس
there.
الأداء الفردي فقط بل أداء الفريق كاملا فسوف تجدون مشاركة جميع فئات الاحتياجات الخاصة في رياضة الأيكيدو وهذا بسبب الفلسفة الأساسية لهذه الرياضة.
Thank you very much.
It's really just amazing to watch when you see how A martial art can have a massive positive impact
نشكر المشارك في
on a
هذا
person's life,
الاحتياجات
helps
الخاصة
with
برياضة
confidence,
الأيكيدو.
self-esteem,
Now that we go
being part of
to
the community and
closer to
belonging.
the final stage, we would like to introduce you Aikido experts coming. The first one is Ruben Sandoval, sixth dan Ruben Sandoval Sensei from Argentina.
And the demonstrations continue here at the 2023 Sport Accord World Combat Games.
مع الفقرة القادمة وهي
Our
مشاركة
showcase is
محترفي
Aikido.
رياضة الأيكيدو متمثلا بدولة الأرجنتين روبن ساندوفال.
You see the explosive mobility. Everyone working in harmony for the technique and the tactic. Each learning how to use your body in harmony.
As Aikido started to spread around the world 60 years ago, many Japanese instructors left overseas to teach Aikido. Nowadays, many of those Japanese instructors have passed away, and the new generation of senior instructors are rising. In Argentina, Sandoval Sensei is one of those people, and many of that will follow under that category.
And sometimes you just have to enjoy the art that's being displayed in front of you. Enjoy the mastery. Enjoy how long it takes to achieve greatness in these art forms.
Thank you very much. Next, we have
From
Roberto
day one till now.
Shihan, sixth dan. Shihan is given as a title in Japan as a
You get to be
master
creative and
instructor.
expressive. Roberto Sanchez of Spain, ready to showcase his Aikido
محترفي رياضة
prowess.
الأيكيدو ممثلا دولة إسبانيا روبرتو شيهان.
Almost an evading tactic. Sometimes the best tactic is avoiding. You see redirections, transference of energy, turning, there controlling the arm, wrist, the shoulder.
This is another Aikido technique against someone with a staff named Joe. So we have seen sword, and now we're seeing Joe taking technique.
المباراة الماضية كانت باستخدام العصا والأساليب المختلفة للقتال باستخدام أحد الأطراف الثانية العصا، والآن باستخدام السيف.
And if you've never been on the tatamis, it is just an incredible place to be. It's one of the great things about martial arts in general. You get to hold on to youth through effort, through exploration. Aikido promotes that through tumbling, break falls, rolling. Continuous play is the motto and mantra. As we continue our coverage here at the 2023 Sport Accord World Combat Games, I'm your host, John Ramdeen. We're showcasing the Japanese art of Aikido. Octavio de la Mata from Spain. Defend and attack. Almost a simultaneous defense and attack at the same time. Again, talking about redirection. Defending attack. Able to disarm his opponent.
First example today of
Defending with the knife, the thrust, into the wrist lock. So he manages to disarm his opponent. There you see the redirection. Again, if you're not familiar with Aikido and you're seeing these forms, it's through thousands of hours of practice and repetition that allows you to be able to defend in real time. If you're seeing these movements over and over and over again, your body reacts to the nuances.
استخدم السكين كأداة قتالية.
Now you see multiple attackers. All parties working in harmony. As we talked about, theatrics involved. Just nothing else to make more palatable for viewers or spectators that may want to get involved.
Thank you very much, Octavio de la Mata Shihan.
Spectators, the crowd, appreciative of the display.
Next, we would like to introduce Helene Doue, Sensei 5th Dan from France. Doue Sensei has been participating in many of the World Combat Games.
ولما الفريق الآخر المشارك مثل بدولة فرنسا مع هيلين دوي.
Elegance, effectiveness, powerful.
As we talked about before, anybody can participate in the art of Aikido. Aikido makes use of body movement, blending the movements of Tori and Uke. There you're seeing the first technique, a control technique using one hand on the elbow and one hand near the wrist, which leverages Uke to the ground. The grip applies pressure to the ulnar nerve, the largest nerve unprotected by bone muscle, so injury is common. Shomenuchi attack. Many of the strikes in the art form resemble cuts or thrusts from a knife or sword. And the kicks are designed for more experienced practitioners, as some of these types of attacks were uncommon in feudal Japan. For those of you just tuning in, there is no competition in Aikido. Aikido means the way of harmonious spirit.
Thank you very much.
Created by O-sensei Morihei Ueshiba. Those who practice the art of Aikido are called Aikidoka.
Now we would like to introduce Craig Borman, Sensei 6 Dan from South Africa.
Our demonstration of the sport continues. Craig Borman, ready to showcase his abilities. A slower, more methodical approach, which I certainly can appreciate. Shows you the details of the technique. And there are thousands of techniques in the art. Takes a lifetime to master. Aikido has a triangular stance, promotes stability, can trace its roots back to Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. Aikido. There's the three terms. I, meaning harmony or unity. Ki, if you've studied any type of martial arts, ki meaning spirit or energy. And then do, the path of the way. Five main principles in Aikido. Gyakimi, which is the entering. You do not shy away. You go into danger. Number 2, Atemi, doing the strikes. 3, Gyuho, breathing. 4, Kankaku-ho, triangle principle. 5, Tenken, turning or circular motion. Defending 2-on-1. Multiple attackers. It's one of the things that had me most interested in martial arts, being able to defend, self-defense. And Aikido certainly was created for self-defense. Entering, blending, turning, fluidity, momentum are all used in the Aikido techniques. An appreciative audience.
Now we would like to introduce you to Satomi Ishikawa, Sensei 5th Dan from Japan.
Holland's Satomi We talked about it before, that Aikido is not about winning or losing. That partner awareness is a building block to success. In order to become proficient, to avoid injuries, Aikidoka must practice ukemi, rolling around on the ground, break falls, learning movement. Movement and mobility is paramount. Most practical, in my opinion, tactics is defending yourself in a seated position while someone attacks you in the upright position. And there you see the
Satomi
tap on the tatami.
is chairperson of the gender group for International Aikido Federation.
Defending the punch.
She travels all over the world teaching. Sharp, powerful, very effective Aikido as well. Satomi Ishikawa Sensei, thank you very much. Now we will go to the next expert, Dimitri.
Another beautiful display of the Japanese art form.
From Belgium.
أشكر الفريق المشارك، والآن مع الفريق الآخر ممثلا بدولة بلجيكا ديمتري كرينير.
Dimitri Crenier of Belgium. Philosophy suggests that deepening one's understanding of techniques shows you a path in life. As we talked about ad nauseum, a partner is key. Focus on your own movements through the lens of your partner. And there you see the attack, defense. 3 goals is separate the arm from the torso, take the back, control the head or hip for the takedown. The goal of Aikido is to overcome oneself. The philosophy of true victory, final victory over oneself here and now. Takedowns are achieved by moving your partner's head and torso away from the center of mass, using movement to achieve this. You move to the next goal if there is too much resistance. Small joint locks are entries and controls only. Rarely are they takedowns. Aikido can trace its roots to Daito Ryu Aki Jiu-Jitsu. Training is based primarily on 2 partners practicing prearranged forms or katas rather than freestyle practice.
We would like to introduce you to Fabrice Croise, 5th Dan from France, sensei from France.
والآن مع الفريق المشارك متمثل بدولة فرنسا فابريس جروز، هم من ضمن محترفي رياضة الآيكيدو.
These martial artists during their time in the tatami. Fabrice Croise of France. Aikido is a modern martial art. We talked about how it has split into many different styles. Iwama Ryu, a style created by the founder. Defending and attacking with the Bakken. Timing, fluidity, movement, turning, blending. Aikido makes use of body movement, blending the movements of Tori and Uke. It's really just a pleasure and a privilege to watch some of the more skilled Aikidoka. In awe of their control and their timing and their vision. Understanding of placement.
Thank you very much, Fabrice Croise Sensei. Very powerful presentations by the Aikido experts.
Another great display of the Japanese art of Aikido here at the 2023 Sport Accord World Combat Games.
Many overseas Aikido masters have grown over the years, and the next Shihan, 8th Dan, the first 8th Dan non-Japanese, comes from France. His name is Christian Tissier Shihan. Christian Tissier Shihan has been presenting, demonstrating for the International Aikido Federation.
We see Christian Tissier,
all of the combat games.
Shihan 8th Dan,
Well,
Shihan Demo.
Very powerful flow and techniques.
And thank you for tuning in to the 2023 Sport Accord World Combat Games. Our focus is the Japanese art form of Aikido, a modern martial art. The goal of Aikido was to overcome oneself. It's not about winning or losing. Christian Tissier, practicing the art form created by Morihei Ueshiba, who called it the art of peace. The basic pattern is for the receiver of technique, the uke, to initiate an attack against the person who applied the technique, the tori. Both uke and tori are vital for the technique to be successful. Defending and attacking with the bokken. Excellent timing and awareness by Tissier. More than 300,000 practitioners of Aikido globally, 140 different countries. Aikido is the way of harmonious spirit. The triangular stance promotes stability. Aikido meaning harmony or unity, spirit and energy. The path, Aikido. The uke, the attacker or receiver, partner in training, tori, the grabber or the thrower. In order to become proficient in Aikido, one must participate in ukemi or rolling. As I mentioned before, there are no kicks in Aikido. It's a non-combat art. The application of Aikido is for self-defense. Many years of practice is required to become proficient. You see the slow intentions of TA. In order to be fast and proficient at these techniques, one must do them very slow, hundreds if not thousands of times. Aikido teaches how to dodge negative situations, entering, blending, turning, fluidity, and momentum are used in the techniques of Aikido.
كبير المستشارين في الاتحاد الأيكيدو العالمي غير اليابانيين.
Sensei, the founder, passing away in 1969. It's important to practice ukemi or rolling, mat play to avoid injuries, learning how to tumble and roll is the key to youth. There are 3 goals. Separate the arm from the torso, take the back, control the head or hip for the takedown. Weapons may be something different philosophy. Another philosophy of Aikido is move to the next goal if there is too much resistance. The path of least resistance is paramount. Aikido is a path to self-betterment, learning how to be the best version you possibly can be. Of course, your training partner is there to help you, but you are responsible for your own progress. You get out whatever you put in. Some of the defensive techniques by Tissier. As I mentioned, Aikido is a modern martial art. It's been split into many different styles over the years. Ki Aikido, Renshinkai, Aikikai, the original school of Aikido, Yoshinkan, developed after World War II, a hard style of Aikido, Shotokan Aikido, which is the emphasis on free-form randori, as well as Iwama Ryo, the style created by the founder, Shiba. Aikido can trace its roots back to Daito Ryu Aki Jiu-Jitsu, along the same family as Judo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, We're seeing it again. The basic pattern is for the receiver of the technique, the uke, to initiate an attack against the person who applied the technique, the tori. Now 2-on-1. Aikido makes use of body movement, blending movements of tori and uke. Shihan 8 Dan, Christian Tissier.
Thank you very much, Christian Tissier, for that beautiful...
Another beautiful display of Aikido here at the 2023 Sport Accord World Combat Games.
الأداء والمشاركة خلال اليوم.
And that will conclude our coverage of Aikido here at the 2023 Sport Accord World Combat Games. Don't go anywhere. Up next is Jiu-Jitsu